Step into the freedom of summer with jewelry that reflects who you are and where you're going. From sunrise to sunset, Pandora jewelry transports you to paradise. No passport required. Think of things like ocean charms, colorful tennis bracelets. You can shop all of these new arrivals to add to your summer staples. Be unmissable and vacation ready. Feel it, live it, embrace it, be love. Shop in-store or online at pandora.net to discover new styles. I am so excited to see so many people talking about perimenopause and menopause, but honestly, it is a long time coming and way past due. For literally hundreds of years, society hasn't wanted to talk about menopause, and when they do, they make it sound terrible. So Walgreens is helping women change the perception and take back our narrative, because nothing is sexier than being in control. Let's reframe menopause together. Join the hashtag #MenopauseIsHot conversation and help reframe menopause. If it happens to you enough, you second guess everything that you think is true. And then going forward, you can't ever really feel like you're on solid ground when you're trying to have a healthy argument because someone's like, well, that didn't happen. And you're like, oh my God, did that not happen? The gaslighting piece, I think, is actually way more damaging than someone just not taking responsibility for their actions. If you interact with someone who is a jerk and like they can't ever take responsibility, they always make it your fault, they're always defensive, you can cut that person off, right? You can break up with that person, you can stop being friends with them, you can quit that job. But if someone is like strategically convincing you that what you know is true is not true, that has lasting emotional damage on a person. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Rach. Welcome to another episode of the podcast and a new edition in our Ask Rach series. If you've never listened to these episodes before, these are where I answer questions from the listening audience. So people call in from all over the world sometimes and they leave me a voicemail. Producer Jack takes all of those questions, puts them into a big spreadsheet, and then I answer them in real time. I answer from my gut. I give you insights and ideas based on the entire context that I have, which typically isn't a lot because it's a voicemail, but it ends up being, I hope, helpful, I hope funny, I hope entertaining. And I think we should just jump right in to our first question today, which, this sounds very interesting.
Hi, Rach. It's Sarah. I just listened to your latest Ask Rach episode number 808, literally the greatest episode of Ask Rach ever. I know you only answered one question in the whole episode, but it was just, I've listened to everything you put out, but for some reason it just hit me in a certain way. One of the things you talked about, though, which I'm sure you've talked about in another episode, I just don't remember what number, is when your spirit or your higher self feels like you're doing something that doesn't align, it won't feel good. I would love for you to talk about the difference between your higher self and you're doing something that doesn't feel good, and the difference between doing something new that's good for yourself, but it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes I have a hard time distinguishing between, is it uncomfortable because it's new and it is going to be better for me eventually, or does it feel uncomfortable because it's going against the higher self I should be? So again, I'm sure you've talked about it in an episode. If you can just let us know the number or go ahead and talk about it. Thank you so much. I love you. You're amazing. Hi, Jack. Bye.
So cute. Yeah, always say hi to Jack, you guys. You're so sweet. Sarah, thank you for this question. This is definitely something I could geek out on for a while. The episode that you might look up if you want to take a deeper dive is episode 685, 6 Things Intuitive People Do. So that really talks a lot about that inner wisdom and that inner knowing. Okay, my instinct is to start with this idea. The things that are good for you, the things that are going to help you grow and add value to your life, don't necessarily feel good. In fact, rarely feel good. So I want to read you guys this because I looked it up. The Stoics believed in the idea of something called eudaimonia. That means a life aligned with your values and virtue, not aligned with ease. So you got to ask yourself, is the path you're on helping you to grow into who you want to become? If you are on a path that is difficult, but being on that path is helping you become more of the person that you want to be, that's the right path for you. It's not about choosing the easiest route. Now, I think people get this twisted in our mind because there's this idea of going with the flow. And hey, if I'm going with the flow, it shouldn't be hard. But actually, going with the flow, meaning that you are walking your path, you're being guided by the universe, you feel like God's laid out a plan for you and you're following along. Going with the flow means that things unfold easily, not that the road is easy to traverse. Things unfold easily. So for an example, let's say that you decide you are going to go on a health journey. Like you're like, okay, I really got to get my health under control. This is the year that I take that on. And like you mean it in your spirit. You have the leverage that you need. You are finally at the place where you are ready to make real change. Flow is that day when you're walking down the street, you see that the gym that you've always admired, that you thought was really cool, you see that they're having a special that fits right into your budget. Flow is that at the moment you notice that the gym is having a special that fits right into your budget, out walks the gym manager who sees you reading the sign and is like, oh, hey man, like, how are you? Like, you interested in the gym? That manager is really cool. They make you feel at ease. They make it super easy. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I will go in and I'm going to sign up for this gym membership. Screw it. I've been talking about doing it for 10 years and I haven't done it. You sign up for the membership. It's all really easy, works out really easy. You go back home and you're like, okay, I got to make a plan. It's really hard for me. This is where I fall off. Like, I really need a plan. I really got to hold myself accountable. Around the same time that afternoon, your cousin sends you a text like, I really got to get my health in check. You know, I need an accountability buddy. And you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like all of these things are aligning to make it really easy for me to follow this path. None of that means that when you get to the gym for the first time, it won't suck to work out when you haven't worked out in 15 years. It doesn't mean that workouts become easy. It doesn't mean that suddenly you miraculously can run a marathon tomorrow. The work is still the work. Flow means that the path to the work was made accessible. You're just like going with it. It's easy. It's like it just, you know, you're not the salmon swimming upstream. You're just going with the flow of the current. I think people get this confused because they're like, well, I'm doing this thing, but it's really hard. It's hard to start a business. It's hard to fight for my marriage. It's hard to show up for therapy. It's hard. Yeah. Yes. Change is hard. Access to that change, if you're in flow state, if you're going with the flow, like the access will be easy. You will find the support that you need. The universe will rise up to meet you, but that doesn't mean that the work becomes easier. The work is always going to be the work. So the question is the work that you're doing getting you closer to who you want to become? And I think we have to know, like, if both things are sort of clicking. For instance, let's say that same person, they're on a health journey, they decide that they're going to make change, and they sign up for a boot camp workout class because their cousin loved a boot camp workout class. They think, okay, maybe that would be the thing for me. They sign up for the boot camp. They go to the boot camp. If you guys have never been to one of those before, not all of them, but the ones that I've been to, there is literally a drill sergeant. They are screaming at you. It is so intense. It's high intensity, making you feel like crap so that you'll do the thing. And you get to the end of that class and you did it. You burned off, 750 calories. You committed, you did the thing. You pushed yourself way harder than you would have because you had that drill sergeant screaming at you. But you feel like crap. And I don't mean physically. I mean like emotionally, your spirit is like, I hate this. I'm literally projecting my own feelings on you guys. I hate a boot camp. I hate someone screaming at me. I'm like, girl, I have too much childhood trauma from real parents who screamed. Like, I can't have this 22-year-old guy screaming at me that I need to jump higher. Like, I'll actually stab you, sir. That's not going to help either of us. So that would get me the result. Like, I would be, quote, on the path, but I would be pursuing that path in a way that my spirit is upset about. That doesn't mean that the goal of getting healthy was wrong. It just might mean that I'm pursuing it in the wrong way. So you ask, like, how do you know the difference? I think two things have to be at play. I think it resonates in your spirit that this is good, even if it's hard. Even if it's hard, and it will be hard sometimes. It is hard to make change. It is hard to show up consistently. It is. I don't know anybody who does it and it doesn't feel hard. But it can feel hard and good at the same time. I'm on a journey right now with my nutrition, and I'm eating in a really specific way, and it's not fun, and it gets super boring, and there are days I'm annoyed. I'm like, I don't want to eat eggs and beans again today, but it's making me feel good. My energy's great. It's serving all of the goals that I have for my life. So even if it doesn't feel good, my spirit's like, yeah, girl, but like, we're going to keep on doing this thing. If you find yourself in a season where when you gut check yourself, yeah, it's actually the right path for me. I just was sort of hoping it was the wrong path for me because it's so hard to pull off. If you find yourself in that season, the easiest hack that I know of, this is going to sound way too easy, but it actually really works. Don't think about it. Just do it. That's why Nike has that slogan. Don't think about it. Lace up your shoes and go. Don't think about it. Eat the eggs. That's what I do all the time. I'm like, I don't want to eat a salad with salmon. I don't want to eat this. I just eat it. Because when I'm done eating it, I'm full. I served all my nutritional goals. Yes, it wasn't as delicious as a cheeseburger and champagne, but that's not aligned with who I am or where I want to go. If you made a decision, I actually just talked about this in a recent episode of Pep Talk. I don't know when that episode's going to air, but I do these Pep Talks on Sunday. And in one of them yesterday, I was saying that our higher self is who makes the plan, right? When you're low, when you're depressed, when you're bitter, when you're pissed off, when you're PMSing, the worst version of you, that version's not planning. That version might try burning some things to the ground, but it's not the planner. You plan the week, you plan the month, you plan the life goals, you plan the next 10 years. When you're in a higher state, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling positive, when you can see a path forward, that's who makes the plan. So that version of you made the plan. Fast forward 10 days later, A lower vibration version of you is like, I don't want to do this plan anymore. It's hard. It sucks. It's stupid. You got to tell that version to shut it. That lower vibration of you, they can't steer the ship. Not ever, y'all. You got to stick with the plan. The pep talk, if you want to look it up later, is called Feelings Aren't Facts. Stick to the plan. Your feelings are real. Your feelings matter, but they are not the truth. This is hard is not enough of a reason for you to quit the plan that you made when you were in a better state of mind. So the easiest way that I know of is that you have to create a plan when you were in a better state of mind. And then when you get to the point that you don't want to do the plan because you're like grouchy, you don't feel like it, blah, 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 shut up. Nope. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do the thing. You said you were going to go to the gym at 8 a.m. You're going to the gym at 8 a.m. You said you were going to eat eggs. You're going to eat eggs. You said you were going to make the call and ask for the sale. You're going to make the call and ask for the sale. Stick to the plan. When you're in a better state of mind, you make the plan so that when you aren't in a great state of mind, you have something to follow. Don't ever let that lower vibration version of you make the rules because they will try and run the show. So I hope that that was helpful, Sarah. And like I said, you can listen to episode 685 if you want to take a deeper dive on that one. I love having people over to my house for dinner. I love a holiday party. I love a summer barbecue. I love any reason to have guests come over. It's one of my favorite things to do. And truth be told, when guests come over, I actually clean more intensely than I normally would. I usually will get like fresh flowers. I'll do a little extra something so that the house looks even better than it does regularly. And if you are like me, you gotta look at what's going on at Wayfair this summer. There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or budget. There's free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. Like as I'm looking for things for the new house, like you can have a bed delivered, you can get an armoire, you can get full tile for your bathroom. No more huge delivery fees for patio furniture. Get the sets, the gazebos, the hot tubs, outdoor dining, and more. Shop outdoor furniture, grills, lawn games, and way more for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to explore a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Visiting South Dakota was always one of my someday things. Like, well, someday I'm going to go see the Dakotas, and someday I'm going to walk through Badlands National Park, and someday I'm going to see Mount Rushmore in person. And then a couple summers ago, I just made someday today, and it was awesome. The kids and I had the most amazing time. We went hiking. We saw Mount Rushmore, which is like shockingly more majestic than you think it would be. We had amazing dinners. We stayed in this awesome log cabin in a national park. It was truly one of our favorite family vacations. And I loved it because it was this great blend of seeing a part of the U.S. I'd never seen before and being outside in nature. So maybe it's time you turn someday into today. See why there's so much South Dakota and so little time. Plan your escape at travelsouthdakota.com. Let's see what this next question is. And while I load this up, I will just remind you guys that the hotline number. Oh, wait, I wasn't going to do another ask. I was actually going to share a confession. I totally forgot. Okay, let me tell you all the story. Several months ago, I asked on Ask Rach, I was like, do you guys have any funny confessions? Because I just thought it would be light and breezy and it would make us all laugh. And God's honest truth, only one person called in. Shame on everyone else who has a funny story they didn't want to share. But we're going to share it because I laughed so hard I cried. Producer Jack, did you laugh so hard when you heard? Oh my God, it's so great. And I hope that sharing this confession will encourage those of you who have a funny story to call and share it, because you know what, y'all? The world is hard. The world is hard. Life is hard. We're all out here dealing with it. We need some laughter. So if you have an embarrassing story, don't tell us your name. Like, we can disguise your voice, but please share it because we need it. So, okay, so this is our first ever Ask Rach confession.
Hey, Rachel. This is Kelly. I was just calling because you just asked for some confessions. I have a confession. When I first went to college, I didn't have much experience, and when I got my first boyfriend, we were, fooling around, and one thing led to the other, and then next thing I know, why do they call it a blowjob if you don't blow? So I blew like I was the big bad wolf on a mission. I blew in every direction, every manner I could think of, like an F1 tornado trying to blow down a house, until my boyfriend basically instructed me that you don't actually blow. Why do they call it that? Some things should really have a very different name. But that's my confession, that I took it way too literally, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bless your heart. That is so, I don't even know where to go. It's so amazing. First of all, was your boyfriend just dying? How on earth could you even keep a straight face? It sounds like you really went at it for a minute. Like, how did he not just immediately die laugh? I can't. Also, I wish it was just blowing. God, that would be so much easier. Just, y'all would get a lot more action if it was just blowing. Oh my gosh, it's so incredible. If y'all have a confession, it doesn't have to be of this nature, but we would laugh really hard if it was. Please call into the hotline and let us know. I shared my most embarrassing moment in the new book, What If You Were the Answer? You for sure didn't read it, Jack, because you have to listen to me too much. So I know you didn't listen to that book, but I accidentally farted. Have you heard this story? Oh yeah, you listened to the audio. Okay. I don't even like saying that word. Like, just saying it, my face is red. I'm so stressed out that I said that word. I just grew up in a really conservative, very prudish house. And so I don't, like, my kids have never heard me do that. My husband has never heard me do that. I maybe at night, even that is like terrifying, that in my sleep I might let one loose. It's so embarrassing. I can't. I'm so mortified. Do you guys fart in front of each other? Oh, we are those people. Oh my gosh. I'm like so stressed out about it. But one time I accidentally did it in front of a room of people, and we were like doing an audio thing, so it was even worse. You could read about it in the book. But most embarrassing moment. But I will tell you, at least, I kid you not, at least 50 times since that happened, I have thought about that moment, and I have laughed so hard, like driving down the road, doing the dishes. I cry. Like, if you don't have an embarrassing moment that you can look back and just find so much joy in how hilarious it was, you are not doing life right. And if you do have one of those, please call in and tell us what it is. All right, now let's get back to questions and see what this one has to ask.
Hi, Rachel. I've been thinking about calling and asking this question for a while, and I finally got the courage to call you up. I have two boys that are really close together. They're 2 years apart, and I'm constantly trying to support them both in the best ways that I can, and also understand that they're two totally different people with two totally different personalities. And what I struggle with is this constant mom guilt of trying to make sure that I just give them both positive, wonderful experiences in their life. But I'm constantly worried that one is getting a better childhood than the other, or I did certain activities with this one and they aren't going great with this child, so I'm messing up. So I know you have 4 kids that have totally different personalities as well and different ages. And I just want to know how you individualize their experience and also get rid of that mom guilt of feeling like, one somehow got something better than the other, and how you make time for each one of them too and understand that they have different needs and different likes. I want to hear your advice on it because I think about it every day, and the mom guilt comes in too, of just making sure I'm doing the right things for them. So let me know your thoughts. I hope you answer back. I'll be listening. Thank you. Bye.
I want to answer in a way that's like very thoughtful and like Brene Brown and like wise, but my instinct is to be like, why on earth do you think that it needs to be fair? Did any of you guys grow up in a family where you would say that's not fair, and then your parent would say life's not fair? That's not fair. Yeah, the fair's in Pomona. The fair is in Pomona in California. Why on earth would you think that it needs to be fair? It can't be fair. In fact, like something being equitable is not about being fair. It's about each kid getting what they need. And kids need completely different things, and kids have completely different temperaments. So for instance, if one of your kids got to do mommy and me yoga when they were little and you guys loved it and you bonded together and it was so special, and then 3 years later you try that with the second kid, everyone knows second kids are demons, so that's going to be hard. But you try it with the second kid and they hate mommy and me yoga and it's so hard and you keep going back but it doesn't work and it's like square peg, round hole. That's actually, to me, less fair to that child because you're trying to make them fit into something that they don't fit into just because it worked really well for the other baby. So I guess the first place to start is to understand that it doesn't need to be fair. It's impossible for it to be fair. It is possible to show up for each one of our kids and see the goodness in them and see what makes them unique and what makes them special, and to try and focus on what's positive and grow those parts of them to be even bigger and even better. But oh my gosh, guilt over that kid got to do something this kid didn't get to do, that's so unrealistic. In the course of, let's say you have these two babies, let's say they're close in age and you're going to have them at home, like everything works according to exact plan. So for about 20 years, you'll have kids inside the house, let's say, before they all like move on and go off to college. Like hypothetically, this is not what happens in most cases, but let's say that that's what happens with you. In the span of 2 decades, your family could go through so many different things, right? Your finances could improve or they could go down. And if your finances improve, then you guys could do more fun things as a family. And if the finances go down, you could do less fun things as a family. This is the lore in my family growing up, is that I grew up in a family where we didn't have money, where we really struggled financially. But my 2 older sisters grew up in a family where my parents made great money. Same parents, same family, 2 completely different experiences, because what my parents did as jobs when the older girls were young was very different than what they did for jobs when I was young. So we had 2 completely different experiences surrounding finances. I never thought that it was unfair that I got different things than they, like it just. So in the course of 2 decades, your family could change so much, not just financially. It could also change, like, what if something happens? What if you go through grief? What if you go through loss? What if, you go through depression, like you're struggling with your emotional health? Like all of those things affect your ability to parent, which means that for a while in those kids' lives, you're going to show up differently. It's completely unreasonable to think that you're going to be able to show up the same way every day for decades to individual kids. It makes no sense. So if it's not possible, why are you holding yourself to some impossible standard? That's thought number 1. Thought number 2 is more intuitive. And it makes me wonder, you didn't say this, but I'm just wondering, if this question is really about the fact that one of your children is easier than the other.
When it comes to back-to-school shopping at Target, we believe the best choice is all of the above. From first-day butterflies to last-day high fives and everything in between, at prices that will definitely make your day. For all of the above, it's back to school at Target.
Guys, if you are so tired of paying the most premium prices for healthy food, Thrive Market is a game changer. There is a reason I have been talking about this brand for like a year and a half? It's because it is like the easiest option for parents like us who are looking for a place to get healthy, stress-free grocery shopping done for the whole family. So what I love about shopping with Thrive, well, honestly, it's more than one thing. Number one, I love the subscription vibe. So any way I can set up my life where the same groceries I use over and over and over just show up on a regular schedule, that's number one. Like, I want to take all of the guesswork out of us eating as healthy as possible. Number two, I love the fact that if I'm finding something on their website, I know that it's going to be good for us. Lastly, I love that there's a bunch of things I never heard of before I shopped at Thrive Market. So I had Unreal for the first time there. Those are those chocolate-covered coconut bars. I had Ora Bora for the first time. I finally started Primal Kitchen mayonnaise because it's so much better for us than the other stuff I was using. My point is, there are all sorts of awesome reasons to shop there. And because you're my listener, you're going to get a little hookup. Take care of your health and your wallet. Thrive Market's biggest sale of the summer is officially on. So for a limited time, go to thrivemarket.com/Rach to get 30% off your first order, an extra 25% off of thousands of summer essentials, plus a free $60 gift just for signing up. That's thrivemarket.com/Rach to claim the offer before it's gone. thrivemarket.com/RACH. One of your kids is easier than the other. Maybe not, but there are those of us who have children where you got a kid that was easy and you got a kid that was not so easy. And maybe they were not so easy at certain stages. And maybe they were not so easy for a long period of time. But it's really hard. In my case, my oldest son was very easy. He was an easy baby. He was an easy toddler. He was an easy kid. He's about to go away to college. He never got an A-. Like, he was just came out of the womb like, I'm going to achieve. Watch me work. Like, he's just so that kid. And then baby number two comes. Here's Sawyer, wild child, like rebel athlete, like class clown. Teachers either loved him or hated him. They'd either be like, he is my favorite student, or they'd be like, I hate this kid, get him out of my class. Struggled for years, struggled when he was little, got a call from the preschool every day. I mean, every day the preschool called to complain about Sawyer Hollis. As a side note, compare that to the kid he is today. You can't even recognize this amazing human that he is today at 16. Just to give you all a little hope. If you got a Sawyer age 2 and you're like, this is a nightmare, I promise it gets better. But part of the reason it got better is because I stopped myself. I'm not saying I never did it, but when they were very little, I realized I was comparing Sawyer to his brother. There is nothing worse for kids, nothing worse than for you to compare the strengths of one with the weaknesses of another. They are not the same kid. That is totally unfair. Like, that kid has strengths. That kid is awesome in certain ways. That kid also might have a hard time keeping his hands to himself or keeping himself calm. That doesn't mean that he's wrong or bad, but if you compare him to his big brother who's like teacher's pet, he's always going to come up lacking. So I don't know if that's what is maybe underlying what you're saying, is that sometimes we would never admit this as parents, ever. No one would ever admit this. I'll admit it. There are times you don't like your kid. I love my kids always, but there are times I have not liked my kids, any of them, Take your pick, all four. Absolutely, there are times where I'm like, I do not like this person. And that time period might be like seasonal. Wow, age 12, you're the worst. I don't say that. I'm thinking it though. That's reality. And then you feel like a monster, right? Like, what kind of jerk doesn't like their own kid? I don't know. Every parent on the planet ever. No, that's not true. I'm positive there are some angels here on earth that love that baby from the second it springs into the world. Every second, forever and ever, amen. They're a different breed than you and me, though. They are a special kind of angel. We love them. We respect them. We learn from them. But if that's not you, that's okay. It's okay. I say it all the time to you guys because it is always going to be true. This is a season. The season will pass, and the season will pass faster, and this kid will come out the other side better if you focus on the good stuff. Focus on where they are awesome. Even if it's like, man, you really got a set of lungs on you. You're good at yelling, buddy. Like, just see something positive, find positive in this kid and reinforce that positivity. Make sure that you are looking for all the things they're doing right just as often as you are on the lookout for the things they're doing wrong. But know that it's never going to be fair and that you're always going to do your best. And that if you mess up today, you wake up tomorrow and you try again. Thank you for the question. Let's see what the next one is.
Hi, Ray. I am reaching out. I am curious. Having the experience of dealing with narcissistic individuals, I would be curious to ask what a disagreement looks like with someone who is a narcissist versus someone who is not. I think that it would be helpful to know how disagreements should look, and when it doesn't look that way, I guess what to do. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, my instinct here says that you're calling me because you listen to the show and we've built up some level of trust, and so you're curious what I think about this. And I'm going to answer the question because I see you and I feel you and I want to answer to the best of my ability. But because you listen to the show, you know that I am not an expert on this and that there are experts on this. I've had them on the show. And I really want to encourage you to go listen to those episodes or go do more research. Go learn from those experts, those doctors who have literally devoted their life to the study of this subject. So the two I'm going to tell you about are Dr. Ramani. She's episode 569. She is one of the foremost authorities on narcissism working today. And episode 738, that's with Debbie Mirza. That's about covert passive-aggressive narcissism. It's a whole different thing. Narcissists, like straight-up narcissists, you can tell. But there is a whole section of people who are smart enough to understand that if people realize that they were narcissists, it would be bad for them. So they are covert about it. That was a fascinating conversation. So episode 738 and episode 569. But what I think you're really asking me here is what's happening in my relationship okay? That's what you're really asking. You're not asking what does an argument look like with a narcissist, because you could Google that. You can go on YouTube, you can look it up, you can find a million videos and books and therapists who can answer that question for you. So what you're really grappling with is what's happening in my relationship with this person normal? At the most basic level, I would say that what I know about interacting with a narcissist is that in a healthy relationship, and this is not just romantic, this is like romantic, familial, business, friendship, in a healthy relationship, an argument has both reciprocity, like I have done something, this thing has hurt you, I am going to like offer something on behalf of the fact that I have done this thing. So it has reciprocity and it has repair. meaning that the other person's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I did that. I want to repair our relationship. Every narcissist that I have ever interacted with inside of arguments, the number one thing, their number one goal, and it does not matter what the argument is about, their number one goal is that whatever you are talking about is not their fault. Their number one goal is someone else is to blame. And most of the time, it's whoever has the audacity to argue with them. Someone else is to blame for this. I had nothing to do with it. Well, I wouldn't have looked at that girl if you hadn't been rude to me earlier in the night, right? I wouldn't have done that thing if you hadn't first done. A healthy adult, and also healthy children, if we're raising them right, takes responsibility for what has happened. An unhealthy adult tries to put blame. They get defensive. They push back, and they come up with ways that it is not their fault. So that's like the number one thing for me when I think about the narcissists I know. It's not their fault. The other big one, these are going to be the two like biggest red flags to me, is gaslighting. Gaslighting is when you are trying to play with someone's perception of truth so that you can be right in that moment. And this happened a lot as a kid. This happened in adult relationships where if you experience it enough, it truly warps your sense of truth. It warps your sense of reality. It warps your sense of self because someone convinces you that like you're lying, or you made that up, or that didn't really happen, or I don't know what you're talking about. And if it happens to you enough, you second guess everything that you think is true. And then going forward, you can't ever really feel like you're on solid ground when you're trying to have a healthy argument because someone's like, well, that didn't happen. And you're like, oh my God, did that not happen? The gaslighting piece, I think, is actually way more damaging than someone just not taking responsibility for their actions. If you interact with someone who is a jerk and like they can't ever take responsibility, they always make it your fault, they're always defensive, you can cut that person off, right? You can break up with that person, you can stop being friends with them, you can quit that job. But if someone is like strategically convincing you that what you know is true is not true, that has lasting emotional damage on a person. Lasting emotional damage, trust issue. I mean, again, there are experts who really can go deep on this with you. But those are the two things that I would say is someone who does not take responsibility. And you have to be careful with like covert narcissism because sometimes they'll take responsibility, but it's because they know that's what's needed in that moment. Like it would sound like, well, fine, because you're so upset, I'll say that I'm sorry because you're so upset. But nowhere in there were they like, I did something and I'm sorry for this thing I did. They're like, oh, fine, to calm you down, I'll tell you that I'm sorry. These are the kinds of conversations you don't realize always have happened until you look at them with hindsight. So here's the headline. If you are concerned that you're in a relationship with someone who has this personality or even sort of leans in this direction, this is a conversation to have with your therapist. For sure, for sure, for sure. And if you're looking for a therapist and you've never looked into that before, y'all, look for therapists who specialize in the thing that you're concerned about. If you are concerned about narcissism in a relationship, look for therapists who specialize in that. If you are concerned about an eating disorder, look for that. If you're concerned about depression, look for that. Like people specialize in very specific things. One of my sons wanted to see a therapist a couple of years ago, and I was able to find someone who specialized in teens who are gay, which was cool because that definitely played into what he was going through. So make sure that you tailor the professional to the situation that you have. And this is a great opportunity just because they have been a sponsor of the show for 1 million years. They did not ask me to say this, but it's why BetterHelp is awesome, because you can look for people who specialize in the thing that you're dealing with, and you can do it all online. It's super easy, and yeah, check that out. But talk to your therapist about this, because narcissism is dangerous. It's real and it's dangerous. And it's also, just to play devil's advocate, way, 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 way overdiagnosed in 2025. In the last 5 years, everyone decided that everybody was a narcissist. And so now they're like, oh, my boyfriend is a narcissist. No, honey, your boyfriend's a jerk. He's immature and he's a jerk. It doesn't make him a narcissist. It probably feels like it would be easier to find the courage to leave if he did have a personality disorder. But the reality is you might just have to admit that this is not the frog that's going to turn into your prince, and you need to move on. All right, guys, I hope that some of the answers I gave today and the confession that we all got to laugh through, I hope that those were helpful. They brightened your day in some way. If you dig the podcast, I hope you will consider sharing this with a friend, telling someone about it. We've got Ask Rach on Mondays. We've got masterminds on Wednesdays. On Fridays, we're having fun, sharing little light and easy breezy fun for summer. And Sundays always is your pep talk to get your week going well. I hope you will check back soon on one of those days. And until then, as always, I love you, and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
Hey everybody, Ted Danson here to tell you about my podcast with my longtime friend and sometimes co-host Woody Harrelson. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and we're back for another season. I'm so excited to be joined this season by friends like John Mulaney, David Spade, Sarah Silverman, Ed Helms, and many more. You don't want to miss it. Listen to Where Everybody Knows Your Name with me, Ted Danson, and Woody Harrelson sometimes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Confused on where to start with weight loss medication? See the lowest prices available with or without insurance for Wegovy, Zepbound, and more at trylifemd.com. 95% of LifeMD patients said starting their weight loss journey was simple. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I had gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get your free insurance benefits check in minutes right now at trylifemd.com. Nearly 96% of patients said they would recommend the LifeMD program to anyone who wants to lose weight. Get started right now at trylifemd.com. That's TRYLIFEMD.com.